Coming up today here on the Raiders Report, let's get into the latest around John Harbaugh because there is a lot, and I mean a lot of conversation going on between Harbaugh and the Las Vegas Raiders. So I'm going to sit up here today and I'm going to tell you what are the chances that the next Raiders head coach is the former Ravens head coach, John Harbaugh. My name is Mitchell Renz. Y'all are watching the Raiders Report, and if you appreciate free Raiders videos every day, make sure you click that like button. Let's go to the reason why I am here today discussing John Harbaugh coming to the Raiders. Because according to NFL insider Adam Schefter, while the Falcons announced an official interview with former Ravens head coach John Harbaugh, he already has been conducting preliminary and extensive phone calls with the Giants, the Titans, the Browns, there you go, the Raiders, and the Cardinals. He is trying to determine who to meet with later this week into next week before making a decision. He is fully expected to coach in 2026 per sources. So for Schefter to say, hey, man, listen, this guy's going to be a head coach this upcoming season, and if he's already having conversations with multiple teams out there, one of those teams being the Raiders, I understand that the Raiders have not requested an interview with Harbaugh yet. But I'm going to tell you this right now. They're going to have an interview with them. If Tom Brady and John Spytek are having conversations, and if Schefter is saying that they are extensive conversations, I do think that there is only a matter of time before the Silver and Black have an interview with Harbaugh. Whether that is in person, whether that is over Skype, that's what we're going to try to figure out here a little bit on today's program. But if you're new to the Raiders Report, we're getting more and more subs every single day. We're getting close to 213,000 subs. Shout out to all of y'all. I'm an interactive guy. The reason why we're called Chat Sports, I want to know your opinion. You're here watching the show right now to hear my opinion. Is John Harbaugh your number one head coach candidate for the Las Vegas Raiders? What's about to happen here is you're about to get it with a YouTube ad break. While that ad is playing, I want you to scroll on down and answer this question for me. Give me a yes, give me a no. My answer is coming up here after this YouTube ad break. I'm going to sit up here and I'm going to go, no, Harbaugh isn't my number one head coach for the Las Vegas Raiders. I remember when the news came out last week that the Ravens are moving on from Harbaugh. I sat up here on this show and I was like, whether we want to be able to face the facts or not, it does change everything around the National Football League. After conversations, after sitting down and thinking about it, I will tell you right now, Harbaugh is not my number one head coach for the Silver and Black. And, that's tough to say because if you're looking at a resume, Harbaugh's got one of the best resumes out there, and I got a lot of respect to him, to the entire Harbaugh family. 18 years of head coaching experience from 2008 to 2025 in Baltimore. A career playoff record of 13-11, and he won Super Bowl in 2012 with the Ravens against the 49ers, against his brother Jim, in one of the craziest games that I can remember watching. Now, there's probably a lot of people sitting up here going, man, that's kind of surprising that you don't want Harbaugh to be your number one guy. I'm somebody where sometimes you got to just remind yourself why you're in the situation that you're in. I'm not saying that Harbaugh's going to be a Pete Carroll, but I've learned from John Gruden. I have learned from Josh McDaniels. I have learned from Antonio Pierce, Pete Carroll, and I know what I want right now. I want a young, innovative coach. It has nothing to do with Harbaugh. I think that he is an outstanding person. I think he's an outstanding leader. I think he's an outstanding head coach. But I do think that sometimes certain situations are different. And I believe Harbaugh is going to be in a better situation for him and for that NFL team. But at this point, I want a young, innovative head coach for the Silver and Black. If you love the Raiders, I want you to hit that subscribe button, join the family. If you're looking for free videos every single day, anybody on the planet can talk about news. But the reason why I want people to hit that sub button, you want analysis every day around the Raiders? There's a reason why we are the number one watch Raiders show for the last 8 years. We build a community, the best Raiders community on the planet, and you will become a smarter fan. If you watch this show for 1 week and you don't learn anything, you can unsubscribe. It's not going to cost you anything. So right now, these are the coaches that I'll sit up here and I'll go, I want them over John Harbaugh. I want Clint Kubiak over Harbaugh. I want Jesse Minter over Harbaugh. I want Chris Shula over Harbaugh. And I would say I would want the combination of Robert Saleh to be head coach, Mike McDaniel as the offensive coordinator. I'm probably going to sit down and look at some other coaches on top of that. But for me personally, I just remember how the Gruden situation went. I remember how the McDaniel situation went. I remember how the Pete situation went. I want a young, innovative head coach. For that reason, I like Harbaugh, but he's not in my top 4. Coming up next here on the program, sometimes it doesn't matter what I think. Y'all know it. I remember the show. I was live for 9+ hours when the Raiders traded for Davante Adams. I sat up here and I was like, dude, there's no chance that they're going to go out and trade for him. Cool part about the NFL, anything can happen. Cool part about the Raiders, anything can happen. Cool part about our sponsor, PrizePicks, anything can happen. And how you play, it's up to you. I'm going to show you my lineup that I got cooked up for tonight's game because I cannot flip and wait. Little Texans, little Steelers action. If you want to let me know who you got, let me know down below. But this is the best time of the year, whether you're watching a playoff game, whether you want to get into the hoops action. On PrizePicks, how you play, that's up to you. And if you want flexibility, choose a flex play where you can get paid even if one of your picks misses. And if you want the biggest payouts, go for the power play. No matter your play, PrizePicks is a great way to put your takes to the test. So my lineup that I'm rocking with tonight, I already took Caleb Williams. If you haven't watched this show over the past 48 hours, every single lineup that I've done, Caleb Williams, it was a gimme. Aaron Rodgers, give me the more on the 0.5 passing touchdowns. I do think that he's going to be able to find the end zone. And then Kymie Fairbairn, he has banged through more field goals than Bonnie Blue, I'm pretty sure. I would say he's probably in the top, I think his last 4 weeks, he has scored scored more than 9 points. And then Will Anderson, 0.25. I believe that Will Anderson and this Houston Texans defense is really going to do a good job getting after a 42-year-old Aaron Rodgers. And that's why I'm going to sit up here and roll with this lineup. It's $5 to pay $32.50. And if you want to go more or less, hey, guess what? You're going to be able to do that. So join millions of users. Sign up for America's #1 fantasy sports app out there. Download the PrizePicks app today. Make sure that you use code CLNS. I'm going to say it again in case you weren't paying attention, Yoda Jenkins. CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to be able to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. I'm not saying I'm going to be right on this show, but I do have a strong feeling of what the chances are of Harbaugh joining the Silver and Black. And listen, every time Harbaugh is linked to the Raiders, I'm going to talk about it. But just because I am talking about something doesn't mean that I believe it's going to happen. So coming up here, what are the chances that John Harbaugh is the next head coach of the Raiders? If you're new to the show, maybe you're also new to my Raiders rumor meter. These are what I like to call my just win babies. And if you see something 0 just win babies, I say tuck rule, tuck that, not going to happen. 1 just win baby, somewhere around that 25% chance. 2, 50, 3, 75, 100% chance of it happening is 4 just win babies. Believe it, baby. So before I tell you how many just win babies, before I tell you what I believe the percentage chance is of the Raiders hiring John Harbaugh, I want you to tell me. It's how this show works. When we started thinking about the Raiders report, I literally can remember sitting down and being like, I just want to talk to Raiders fans, have a beer or two, maybe 3 or 4, and just talk about my personal opinions around a team. So if you spend time giving me your opinion, I'm giving you my opinion. It's how a friendship, it's how this whole thing's going to work out. So how many just win babies on Harbaugh to Las Vegas? My answer coming up here in just a moment. I'm going to sit up here and I'm going to go 1% chance and 1 just win baby. It might be a freckle of a just win baby overall, but I will say this. I really, truly do not see John Harbaugh, despite his relationship, despite his friendship and connection with the Harbaugh family and Mark Davis, I do not believe that this man right here is going to be the next head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. My first reason why, he's going to go somewhere else. And there's just other teams that I do think are in a better situation to hire Harbaugh. I will continuously say that I think that the Las Vegas Raiders job is the best head coach job opening out there outside of the Baltimore Ravens. I don't think Harbaugh is going to go back to Baltimore. But when you look at the names that Schefter brought up in his original report, he talks about the Giants, talks about the Titans, the Browns, the Cardinals. He already interviewed with the Atlanta Falcons. So if I'm going to sit up here and not only put my Raiders report cap on, if I'm going to sit up here and put my NFL analyst cap on like I used to do back in the day at Chat Sports, I will sit up here and I'm going to go, I don't think that the Raiders are his number one pick. In fact, if I were to do an entire video on Harbaugh destinations and landing spots for 2026, I would put the Dolphins at number one. And the reason why I'm going to put the Dolphins at number one, where there's smoke, there's fire. And I find it a little bit interesting that Mike McDaniel got fired after John Harbaugh ended up leaving Baltimore. Harbaugh is very, very close, and I mean very close, with Stephen Ross, the Miami Dolphins owner, if you don't know why. Harbaugh's dad coached at Michigan. Stephen Ross, it's literally called the Ross School of Business at Michigan. It's why Tom Brady and Stephen Ross are so well connected. Then it's the New York Giants. I want to be very clear. I think it's either the Dolphins or the Giants. I probably just could have wiped out these other three names down here because I do really believe it's between the G-Men and Miami. I'll just throw in the Browns. I'll throw in the Raiders. Hell, after some reports that have just come through, I think the Titans would jump the Las Vegas Raiders if I'm being 100% honest. Let's go to the next reason here why the Raiders will not be hiring John Harbaugh. And I don't think that Harbaugh is even the Raiders' top choice. So sometimes it takes two to tango. Like, to me, I legitimately think the only way that the Raiders are going to entertain the idea of going out and getting Harbaugh is if they miss on a Jesse Minter. If they are to miss on some of their other candidates that this organization is looking at. And I believe that the top two candidates for the Raiders, as it stands right now, are Clint Kubiak and Jesse Minter. Those are the two people that I believe, not saying I've been told anything, those are just the two people that I believe. And then I do wonder about Chris Shula because timing is everything. The Raiders requested to interview tons, and I mean tons of guys yesterday from the Sean McVay tree. If you didn't see all the videos that I put out, that's another reason. Hit that subscribe button. Let's go to the next reason here why I don't think Harbaugh is coming to Las Vegas. The Raiders aren't going to fire John Spytek. And some of you might be going, well, why does that matter? It matters because there's a report, there's rumors out right now that Harbaugh is looking for $20 million. It's basically the highest paid head coach in the NFL, and he wants to be able to bring in his own general manager. I'll be very clear here. The relationship that John Spytek and Tom Brady have, I really do not believe that Tom Brady would choose Harbaugh over Spytek. And I really think that Brady believes in Spytek. Yeah, you know, John kind of joked about it at the podium that they don't always see eye to eye, but I don't always see eye to eye with my wife. Y'all probably don't see eye to eye every time with your wife or your husband. Sometimes I think those are the best relationships because there's a lot of honesty. There's a lot of trust. And it's so important for the Raiders to have honesty and trust this year from Tom Brady, John Spytek, front office, and its coaching staff. And a lot of times you got to be able to learn from past history. So the final reason why I just don't believe that Harbaugh is going to be coming to Las Vegas is he wants too much power. He wants to be able to make a lot of personnel decisions, and he wants to be able to have more power over the roster. If you're the Raiders and you dealt with the Pete Carroll situation, you can have a great front office, you can have Tom Brady, you can have a great GM and John Spytek, but if your coaches don't do their job and there's a disconnect, that's not going to be good. To me, good organizations are ran where the GMs do their job, coaches do their job. If Harbaugh wants to be able to one that calls all the shots, I don't want to get into another Josh McDaniels situation. I don't want to get into another John Gruden situation. I want to be able to have a good relationship between everybody, and everybody's voice is heard, and everybody's voice agrees with the plan. If you go out and you hire Harbaugh, I think it means you're moving on from Spytek, and you're giving one person way too much power. Not saying that Harbaugh doesn't have the resume, doesn't deserve to have it, but where you are right now for the Raiders, I want a team, and I want a group that comes up with a plan instead of one guy just calling the shots. So in conclusion, Harbaugh is a phenomenal head coach, and I believe he's going to end up going to the New York Giants or the Miami Dolphins. But It doesn't make sense for the Raiders. It doesn't make sense for John either, because I think he's going to be able to go get more money elsewhere. I believe he's going to be able to go get more power elsewhere, and the Raiders aren't going to fire John Spytek for Harbaugh. I want to be clear on that. Brady and Spytek are going to be the top voices for the Silver and Black in 2026 after the Pete Carroll disaster. What's really important here for Mark Davis, he needs to learn from his past mistakes. He can't just bring in an older coach, give him all the power, throw him a boatload of money, and expect change to happen. Let's hire a new, young, innovative head coach. Let's get this thing going, and let's all work together from top to bottom and create a plan that makes the most sense for the Las Vegas Raiders. Before I get out of here, if you do not know, I am going to be live tonight, 30 minutes before kickoff. I will not have Jeremy Chugs. I'm going to have my guy Reed with me, and we're going to watch another playoff game. I'm going to be rooting for Houston to take down Pittsburgh. Winner of this game is going to be going up against the New England Patriots. If you love the Raiders, and if you love my guy Chugs, and if you're planning on watching this football game tonight, I hope you pull up here on the Raiders Report, because rumor has it we're going to be giving away a Fernando Mendoza jersey tonight. If you're not sub, you can't win. If you're not sub, you're not a real one. So if you're a real one and you made it this far in the video and you plan on hanging out with us tonight, give me a real one down below.